is truth? Atheist versus eternal intelligence. This is a follow-up of the video, Is Anything Eternal? The real question is, where did the universe come from? So this is a summary of that video. Number 1, the universe created itself, spontaneous creation. That's according to Hawking in his video, Lucky Imperfection. But how can something create itself even before it was created? That breaks the law of non-contradiction. So for me, that's out. Number 2, the universe was created out of nothing. Well, if you told a 6th grader that, they would laugh at you. That's because they haven't been indoctrinated yet. So for me, that's ridiculous. That's out. Number 3, matter and energy are eternal. Well, first of all, it had a beginning, the Big Bang, and there'll be heat death, which is equilibrium according to the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. Now, Stephen Hawking, of course, changed the second law of thermodynamics to fit his particular bias by stating there is no such thing as perfection. There's all this imperfection. So, but I disagree with that. I'll stay with the current understanding of entropy as the final stage being equilibrium, which would be heat death for the universe. So, if there's a beginning and ending of matter and energy, it can't be that. So, what other option is there? Well, number 4, something eternal created matter and energy. Eternal intelligence, Max Planck. Now, all of you out there that say there's no scientists that believe that in a creator, well, you're lying. This is not the truth. Max Planck won the Nobel Prize in physics, and I love his terminology, eternal intelligence, and I'll be using that throughout this presentation. Is there scientific evidence for an eternal intelligence? I believe there is. However, for now, I will say that it gives support for eternal intelligence. You be the judge. My name is John McCamick on Rumble, constantly asking the question, what is truth? Today we're going to be looking at unlocking the mystery of life. This is by the Discovery Institute. I highly recommend that you buy the DVD for your library. But it is free on YouTube. The quality is fair. It's also free on Crackle or Tubi with ads. So however you want to view that, but I recommend everybody getting this on your DVD so you can share with others. Thank you. Much of the understanding of DNA comes from Watson and Crick, and this is a quote from Crick. Biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but evolved. And how does that begin? In my opinion, the neo-Darwinian cannot begin within the beginning because it becomes asserted it created itself, the universe, or it came out of nothing. They can't say that a creator created it. Therefore, they start with the tree of life. They assume that the chemicals came together to create life in the beginning. Then from the base of the tree, which is the most simplest forms of life, became more and more complex over time. So they use time to their advantage. Plus they extrapolate up, reverse engineer down, to come up with a plausible explanation that fits their particular bias, and they use incredible graphics. The atheists say that they have science on their side, but they also, as one of the cornerstones of their thinking, is time. Now, if you don't have a creator, how does it all start? How do for instance, the amino acids come together to make protein? And a man by the name of Dean Kenyon co-authored a book by the name Biochemical Predestination, where he proposed that the amino acids came together through mutual attraction. However, after teaching this thinking for several years, he came to the conclusion that it's pretty much impossible for amino acids to create a protein. Some amino acids, there might be 100, 150 amino acids to a protein. They have to be in a specific order. And not just that, but that has to be duplicated exactly to be that particular protein. And he just didn't see how that could be possible. So let's focus on
DNA. And what exactly is DNA? Well, DNA is a code. And where does code come from? Well, in my opinion and others, the code only comes from intelligence. So we're going to be looking at that. So who has the science on their side, the atheist or the believer? So let's begin by looking at the actual coding of the DNA. The letters are A, C, T, G. Now that's quadular, I call it quadular, versus what we have in our computer coding of zeros and ones. So already the complexity of the DNA compared to what we have in computers is significant. A copy mechanism comes by and separates the DNA, and it makes a copy known as RNA of that particular section of the DNA for a particular protein. My question is, how does the copy mechanism know the type of protein to copy and where it is found on the DNA? I'll be asking questions like that throughout, just to show you the incredible complexity of what we're talking about. And it surely didn't happen by luck, chance, imperfection, but more design and through an eternal intelligence. The RNA then goes to a place called the ribosome, which is the replication factory. Question: how did the RNA know where to go to this replication factory known as ribosome?
Here we have the RNA instructions, and the amino acids instructions must match up with the RNA instructions, which ends up sequencing the amino acids to make a particular protein.
So the information connected to the RNA must match perfectly with the amino acids information. That's what causes the sequencing to be precise. And that is what sequences the amino acids. For copy, this is a blueprint for easy replication. So RNA is a blueprint. So our next question is, what determines how many to replicate? How do they know how many proteins they're going to need for the particular job?
Now that the amino acids have come together and been sequenced to make a protein, how does it know where to go to be folded? Once the protein is inside this barrel-shaped object, how does it know what shape to be folded in? And once it's completed, the little shuttle, how does the shuttle know to be there? And how does the shuttle know where to take it? There's a lot of places, say, for instance, in the human body. I want to take a moment now to set up the next section, which has to do with assembly instructions. Charles Darwin said the following: if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. That leads us into the next section, which is known as irreducible complexity. I wish to use as an example the flagella motor, which is a little creature at the bottom of the ocean, and this is its mechanism to get around. It's a motor. I don't want to go into all the details because I want you to look at that video, especially in this section on the flagella motor. But as you can see, there's a lot of different parts. Even with co-option, you still have assembly instructions. How does it know how to be assembled? And each of these areas are a different protein. And so how do they know where to go and how many? So in assembly instructions, okay, we got protein 1 goes over here, protein 2's go here, and all the proteins, number 3 go there, and number 4 go there, and 5 go there, and 6 go there, and 7 go there. How do the proteins, which are sequenced and folded for a particular function, know where to be placed on this motor? And another question is, how long does this thing take to be built? Did a flagella motor have to sit on the bottom of the ocean for a million or a billion years while this thing be developed? Because it's pretty sophisticated. But you remember, Darwin said numerous successive slight modifications. That means it took a long time. This had to be built pretty quickly for it to be advantageous to the flagella.
So the atheist has to figure out how or what they can do to overcome this conundrum. They say that the shaft is over here, and there's a cog over here already being made, and all they have to do is get it to come together. But still, it had to be made over there. How did it made? That begs the question. Plus, how did the assembly instruction? So what they've done is extrapolated it up, reverse engineered down, or a combination of the two, to come up with a viable solution to fit their particular bias, in my opinion. The creators of this video specify so much complexity. All I've done is taken that and added it some questions to add more complexity to it, to show you that did this happen by chance, luck, imperfection, or is DNA a code, and code only comes from intelligence? You decide.
In my opinion, mutations and natural selection are encoded into the DNA.
The following is for emphasis and clarification. These are some of the questions to add to the complexity of DNA, created for a purpose or evolved by luck and imperfection. This is just some of the information in DNA for one protein. How does the copy mechanism know the type of protein to copy and where it is found in the DNA? How does the RNA know where to go to this replication factory known as ribosome? What determines how many to duplicate? Copy blueprint to ensure exact duplication. How does the protein know where to go to be folded? What determines the shape? How does the shuttle know when it is needed and where to take each protein? The assembly instructions. How do the proteins which are sequenced and folded for a particular function know where to be placed, such as on the flagellum motor? How long did this thing take to be built? So after all this, you decide. In my opinion, such sophisticated information found in DNA could logically only come from eternal intelligence.
I just want to make one more plug for this video entitled Unlocking the Mystery of Life by the Discovery Institute. I do not make anything off of this, but I believe in it so much that I want you to have it. And if you can't afford it, then go to YouTube or go to Crackle or Tubi and just type it in and watch this incredible video and great graphics. I hope you get this because it is a life changer. Thank you.